Let's talk about North America RLCS for the season. Now, I don't have the exact numbers, but obviously we know that this season was crazy. We're going to talk about week 5 first, but I just want to throw out one number for you before we start anything. I believe, and I could be wrong, I think it's either 7 or 8 losses, the big 3 had in the last 4 seasons of the RLCS versus the other 5. 7, I think it was 7. 7 losses total. They had 8 in this season alone, and the icing on the cake was Energy losing to Rogue here in week 5. Obviously, Cloud9 and G2 also going to relegation or going to promotion relegation. We'll get to that. Let's talk about this real quick. One thing I want to do next week is I want to do a how did I predict certain teams would do based on my predictions that I had in RLCS. So like Veloce, I went 1-6 or whatever. Like we'll do that next week to see who I guessed with the most, I guess, or the least. But for now, we won't worry about that. But that'll be a fun video that I'll do probably for Monday or something like that. But this was obviously a crazy season. We start off Rogue versus Cloud9. Everyone's expecting Cloud9 to win this. Rogue, I said in my prediction video last week, they were the worst team in NA. Well, AJ showed up. And AJ's pretty good at Rocket League when he has to win. And they showed it here. Rogue, I don't know how they do it, but they do it again in week 5. They take down Cloud9, and Cloud9 didn't look terrible. Now, they didn't put up a ton of offense here versus Rogue, but they didn't look that bad. Like, Gimmick actually looked more like old Gimmick. He looked like he was having fun in the air, and when Gimmick looks like he's having fun in the air, that's a good sign. It wasn't perfect, obviously, but he had some plays. He had some plays, which is better than we could say for the rest of the season. So I thought Cloud9 was like fine in their way, but Rogue looked too strong. Wonder played really well with some double taps as well. Crow's been very like consistent, you know, like he hasn't been as good as last season, but you expect a certain level of quality from Crow. And we get that pretty much week in and week out. So it really comes down to that X factor of Wonder and AJ. AJ can look like the best player in the world. He can look like, you know, just your average Joe Schmo that barely is in the RLCS. Wonder, he can look like the worst player in RLCS, or he can look like a top 10 player at times. So we got both the good AJ, the good Wonder, and Berg looks good. We'll see if that continues next week or in 2 weeks for the bracket stage for the regional playoffs. Again, that's not this weekend. CRL has their finals this weekend. We will be back the following weekend. So Rogue, huge win there. And of course, we know nothing. We know nothing at this point for playoff scenarios, but we just know everyone's still alive. Space Station versus G2. Very, very close, but look at this 6-1. Game 5. What happened to G2, man? G2. Game 5 used to be their thing, and it's been falling apart for a while now, their Game 5s, but it really hit home here. A 6-1 loss to Space Station when they absolutely needed it to make playoffs. They had 2 chances for it, and obviously they failed in this one. They failed versus Cloud9. Not great. Space Station didn't really get the offense going versus G2 until that final game. That really padded their stats. So they weren't looking like and exceptionally strong going into Pittsburgh Knights, but they picked it up even more versus other Knights. Like G2, again, wasn't playing terribly. It was more like, now it's not really this series. Like the one I'm probably thinking of more is Cloud9 series, but just like Chicago missing open nets, or Rizzo going for like a double tap, but like completely beans the first touch. J-Nap some defensive errors, which were more last week than this week, but still, they were still there, here or there. Just wasn't pretty. Rogue versus Energy. This one's always tough. Like obviously, Rogue played really well. It's always hard to tell how strong like Energy is in one of these matchups where like it doesn't matter for them. And I see some people when we're talking about MVPs, which we'll probably talk a little bit more next week, is like, well, if Justin would have went 7-0, I would have gave it to him, but now I'm not gonna. I'm like, I don't think you can factor in a game where Energy literally means nothing to them in like an MVP race. Because I feel like MVP, it's all about who shows up in the important times, right? Energy literally had nothing to play for here. So I can see why, you know, that drive might have been gone and Rogue takes this win. But I I don't think you can really fault anyone on energy in a matchup like this. Now, obviously, you can credit Rogue to a certain extent, obviously, that they played really well. Like AJ, again, is just a monster. And a lot of people saying he should have got player today. And, like, you're not wrong. It was between him and, what was it, Arsenal? We just gave it to Space Station because they clinched LAN. But both very deserved player of the days. But you can't really fault an MVP on a matchup that doesn't matter, I feel like. So we'll talk about that more in the future weeks. But Rogue, another win, and they're into playoffs and absolutely nutty, man. Well, so at this point, we still don't know nothing. We had to wait till this Cloud9 G2 series, which is crazy that we were 25 series in to league play and we still didn't know anything except for energy, obviously. Cloud9 G2 almost brought it back, but this is where like the problems occurred for G2. This game 1 and game 2, they should have won one of those games. They just played awful. Cloud9, again, their offense is not picking it up all that much, but again, 5 goals in game 5. So G2 in 2 game 5s that if they win, they're in playoffs, gave up 6 goals and 5 goals. That is just unacceptable, man. It's just rough. But Cloud9, that they find their win, but they don't find themselves into a playoff spot. They have to wait. Torment actually did an interview with us, which was really nice when he wasn't sure if he would be in playoffs yet. So kudos to him. But G2 is out of the playoff race first in North America. Absolutely wild. G2, just the offense not clicking. A lot of defensive mistakes throughout the season. And you expect a little bit of that from G2 because normally they're on offense so much that when they have to rotate on defense, they get a little bit confused. And that's always been their kryptonite when they're playing this playstyle. The problem was the offense also just was not clicking. Except for like week 1 and week 2 where they played Birds and Rogue. Like in this series, clearly, offense clicking. And that's where they padded their stats, like I showed, I think it was week 3 or week 4 before the Ghost G2 matchup of how padded the stats were for G2. And G2, where was the other one? I gotta sneeze. Oh, sneeze is coming. Oh, Rogue, here we go. And then here, obviously, padding the stats a bit, 5, and 4 goals. Besides that, not great. I'll actually go over here. I actually have their stats up here. I want to bring it up. I'm going to see where they ended for league play. So league play, they ended at 1.96 goals per game. It's not terrible. Like every season, we're seeing a downtrend of goals per game in general across the board. But again, like this is after a World Championship where they were at 2.6 something goals per game, the most we've ever seen at a World Championship except for season 1. We expected more, and we expected obviously like this right here, not terrible, right? When you go to goals against though. 2.04, not good. Same with Cloud9, obviously. Rogue giving up 2.36. I still don't know how Rogue's in playoffs. Let's just go back up here real quick to the standings. Rogue has 10 wins. Complexity at 0-7 has 10 wins. When they were 0-6, they had 10 wins. Rogue, 10 wins. They literally won one other game in their 4 series losses. They had 3 sweeps, and they lost to 3-1. I don't know, man. I don't know. -5 game differential. Same as Cloud9. 1 less than G2, but obviously, like, if these changed, it would be a little different. But, geez, man. -5. Oof. I think TSM might have finished better than them at 3-4. Let's see. And they didn't make playoffs. Look at this, 10 wins. Like, obviously, they have 21 losses, of course. 0-7. But, yeah, a TSM actually finished exactly the same. -5. Look how lopsided this is in Europe, though. Everyone's even, at least, in game differential, except for these two. But, moving on. It's also why teams didn't make it. Let's go back to North America. Anyway, so Cloud9 takes this win here. G2 just giving up a lot of goals towards the end there. Space Station versus Pittsburgh Knights. This was the match for Madrid. Space Station coming out hot. 3, and 4 goals. That is exceptional. Pittsburgh Knights, only 2 goals, a shutout, and 2 goals. Perfect sweep. Or not perfect sweep, obviously, but a sweep for Space Station. Great for them. On a 5-game winning streak. They started 0-2 to begin the season. And it wasn't like 0-2. They played like two really good teams. They played Energy and then Birds, who at that time we thought were probably coming in 8th. And that's after they lost to G2 and Energy. So it's like Space Station was like, oh boy, this could be rough. Then they win that Game 5 versus Cloud9. That everyone thought Cloud9 probably should have won that series. And then another Game 5. And then a sweep. And then another Game 5 and a sweep. Like, a lot of close series for Space Station. It could have went some other way. +5 game differential, though, by the end of it. So, well done to them. But super close to them. Like, everyone's talking about Sypical this, and Sypical that. MVP Sypical, yada, yada. I really like Arsenal. I really do. A lot of good solo plays by him. A lot of good flicks. Really putting pressure on teams with that over at least the last 2 weeks. I've been enjoying Arsenal a lot. I haven't put my MVP votes in yet, but I'm going to look back. And, like, obviously Sypical's in that race. I want to look at Arsenal compared to Sypical. I think probably Sypical has the edge, but I don't think it's as big of an edge as everyone keeps saying. And then I would say the other people in my voting area would be Justin, obviously. And really doesn't matter who's in third place. Because it's going to be either Justin or Sypical or Arsenal, I would say. For me, who would be number 1. Then we got Birds over Ghosts, and this one was kind of weird. It just kind of happens this way. Like, Birds and Ghosts was the most influential series on the day, so it kind of had to be last to keep some hype up. But once in a while, it's going to happen where a team only needs like one win to clinch something. Then the other team can come back and win it. It's kind of what happened here. Like, I think Ghost was trying, but, you know, once you achieve what you need to achieve, it's like, you know, it's hard to keep up that drive. And again, like, I think people that are complaining about throws or whatever, one, I don't understand, because it's like, it's the same people that complain about, oh, teams didn't have to try in these matches, so it also makes it unfair to the other teams, are the same people that are talking about, like, double round robin, where I'm like, you realize that just extrapolates that problem and just makes it worse, right? Because there's going to be even more games that don't matter for teams. But I digress. It happens. But still, Cloud9 G2, you had 2 wins on the season. If you're 2-5, there's really nothing that you can say about not making playoffs. Like, sure, teams at 2-5 make playoffs from time to time, but you're 2-5. You lost to 5 teams. You beat 2. What does that mean? Bottom 2, basically. I guess technically it would mean there would be 6th. But, you know. 2 wins doesn't cut it. And we saw with TSM, 3 wins doesn't cut it sometimes. Let's move back up. So, yeah, Birds get that win. Birds looking good, man. Ghost has been kind of reeling a little bit now. They took out G2 3-1. That was after they lost to Space Station, a close series. And did they have another series? No, they only had 1. So they lost to Birds. So they're going into playoffs on a 1-game losing streak, same as Pittsburgh Knights. While Birds and Rogue, as we see here, both on winning streaks. Rogue is on a 2-game winning streak. Birds are on a 1-game winning streak, where they also took Pittsburgh Knights to 5 games. And a lot of people kind of forget about that series because, like, everyone expected Knights to win, and then it was really close, but Knights won, so we're like, whatever. Maybe it's a fluke, but I don't know. Like, Birds are for real. Watch out for the Birds. Coming into playoffs, but so 2 teams on winning streaks, 2 teams on losing streaks. One of these is going to meet right here with all the momentum on these guys' side, so we'll see how that goes. Energy and Space Station obviously going to Madrid. Let's go over the awards real quick. Golden Striker, Sypical by about 2 goals over Justin. Then Chicago, which he was still up there. He was still up there from those early series. AXB basically 1 assist over Chicago. Again, still up there. Well done to him. Some new winners here. And Torment, his first accolade as well. In Saviors, which he would take back easily to be in playoffs. But, hey, it is what it is. And Pittsburgh Knights all finished 3, 4, and 5. MVP, we'll see. We'll see who wins that $2,500 next week. Player of the weeks. Let's look at them. We had Chicago, Turbo, Gyro, and Justin and Arsenal. Funny because a lot of people think it's going to be Sypical for MVP. And didn't get a player of the day, which doesn't really matter. But, you know. Let's look at stats real quick. And we'll talk about the season as a whole. Like, obviously, Big 3 are dead. We already know that. And Energy looks pretty strong. Like, I think their one issue going in is still that Turbo defense. Like, even when they were winning, a lot of that goal line defense by Turbo has been a little bit questionable. He's great when he makes the decision to move up. He's always been really, really good at that. But when he's forced onto the goal line, which doesn't happen often, problems occur. So we'll see if people can make that a problem for them going into playoffs or going into Worlds. Space Station, great 1v1 ability lately. And just getting the team plays going, man. Like, it's like a 1v1 play into a team play, like, constantly by Space Station. Just relentless. It's been great to watch them. So I'm happy for them. Pittsburgh Knights, obviously, they know what they need to do. It feels like they're veterans at this point. They're 4-3. But looking relatively stronger than, obviously, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Three-way tie at 3-4. Rogue, obviously, a terrible, terrible win-loss ratio compared to Birds and Ghost. But anyone's game there. Anyone's game. Ghost kind of reeling a little bit. I feel like they just got to be careful because, like, the one thing I always worry about Ghost is their offense just doesn't do enough normally. Let's go over stats and look at that. I could probably zoom this in. Zooming in there. So, like, goals per game, yeah, Ghost at 1.74. See, the other thing I'm really worried about, actually, is if you look at against with the shots per game, Pittsburgh Knights are up there, and Space Station, actually, are both relatively high. Space Station has more shots, I believe. If you go to differentials and go to shots. Space Station at least is positive. Pittsburgh Knights is at minus 48. That's a problem. That's a big problem. Like, obviously, they are executing. I actually want to see if they hit the top shooting percentage. They did. Did they get top save percentage? They did. So, again, they're only the 5th team ever in Rlcs history for North America and Europe to do that. And it was all the insanely good teams of Season 6 and Season 7, Energy Vitality from last season, Dig and Cloud9 from the seasons before, to have ever done that. So that's a good sign. But I am not a fan of when your shot differential is this poor. Because if you aren't that good at your execution, if it falls off just a little bit, Knights are in trouble, man. Knights would be in deep, deep trouble. Worse shot differential than Rogue, Cloud9, G2, any of these teams. Obviously, G2, they didn't execute at all this season. Plus 50 shots. How do you finish 7th or 8th? And actually, they finished 8th. Dead last and the most shots. That's never happened. I didn't even have to look up stats for that. That has never happened before. Absolutely insane. If we go over to save percentage, I think these are relatively low, but they're not like... these might be record-breaking lows by Rogue and G2. I'm not sure. But that's just crazy to think that G2 shot that many shots or that much of a differential and came in 7th. Like, I think it's also just like how much they padded in some games, right? Like, if we look back at Birds and Rogue, I bet they outshot them like crazy, which is fine, obviously. It's just you have to do it constantly. It's the same with their goals, right? -2 goals. You would think, all right, they're not the 8th place team. But again, just how much they padded off of Birds and Rogue. And I think that's where, like, Birds are falling a little bit short. Rogue's falling short. Like, obviously, Rogue has a lot of other issues too. But pretty crazy to think about. Going back over to players, I believe top shooting percentage was Sipical as well. And most goals and the best there. Points per game, I think, goes to Chicago. Oh, no, actually, Justin just barely beats him. Then Chicago, then Rlcs. This is a stat I always like to look at for points per game. That's basically just goals and assists per game. It just means the best offensive players. Obviously, Energy is all up there because, you know, their offense is pretty good. But always nice to see these players. Like, I think Arsenal, a little bit lower, for sure, which I think is going to hurt him in his MVP chances here. But I still like what he did throughout the season. And obviously, AJ and stuff down here really picked it up towards the end. Let's look at hat tricks. Let's see if anyone. Chicago had 3 hat tricks. Rlcs, Rizzo, Justin 2. Then a couple other saviors. Probably Torment has a bunch. Yeah, 12, 9, 9, 8. Playmakers. XP's the only one of 2. Good for him. Oh, and let's go to MVPs. Sipical with 12. Justin with 9. So obviously you have to win games to get these. So it's a little bit more based on, you know, the successful teams. And then this is the same thing, points, but this is just not an average. So G2 played more games. Actually, they didn't, so that doesn't make any sense. But whatever. maybe this number is a little bit off then. Actually, wait. Did Justin? I'm sorry. Justin played less than Chicago, so it does make sense. I think it's going to be it basically for the recap. Let's go back real quick. If there's any questions that you guys have for me about the season as a whole for NA, and I'll answer a couple while we're looking across the board here. I smell good. Thank you, Requiem. Sorry my voice is a little crazy and my nose is a little bit full, but sorry about that. I don't think you can blame other teams for G2 and C9 go to relegation. I almost pulled the turtle. It'd be their own faults for not getting the wins. Yeah, absolutely. It's the same, like, you can never fault, like, oh, man, like, I really needed this team to win, and they didn't, you know, I don't like this team. It's like, it's not really on them. It's on you to be in a better spot. Simple as that. If there's no questions, we'll probably just round this out a little bit here, but we'll see. What team / team surprised you the most? What team / teams? Probably Birds. Birds played pretty well throughout the season. Like, Ajax had a really good season. And he was the one that everyone's like, why would you pick up Ajax and not Drippe, you know, or something like that? And they showed why. Ajax played exceptionally well all season long. So well done to him. Birds, clearly, for sure. Space Station was one of those teams where I'm like, I wanted to see it happen, and I knew it could at some point. Like, maybe not top 2, but, you know, like a third. As long as they start hitting their shots. They obviously surprised, but we knew that they had it in them because they've been close before, like when they were bred last season, that they were looking like a great team. And they've looked like great teams before. It's just you have to hit your shots, and they started hitting their shots. So, the other teams, I thought Ghost might finish better than where they did after their start. I was really, really happy with how Ghost was looking, but they never really caught on yet. But I thought they might have a better finish to their season. And obviously, Cloud9 G2 surprised by doing so poorly. Like, I could see them being in the mix here. It's just really weird to see them both in the promotion tournament. That's just not something you would expect. So, for sure. It's my favorite OC team right now. I haven't watched a lot of OC yet. I'm going to wait till they have their top 2 teams and then go back and watch. But obviously, Attack of the Invisible Ninjas, clearly. I think that's their name, right? Got to go the underdog, man. Let's see. Pretty sure that's their name. Yeah, Attack of the Invisible Ninjas. Hell yeah, man. 4-2, surprising everyone. Let's go. Has the Fireburner conspiracy been covered already? Yes. Fireburner, he infiltrated the ranks of Cloud9 to dismantle them from within. You know. Good job, Fireburner. Weakest player in NA. From this season, I don't know, man. This season's hard. I think if I had to put some people down there, probably Gimmick, Wonder, Rizzo, I'd probably put down there. As like, from the 3 bottom teams who I thought was probably the worst on their team for the entirety of the season, I'll put those 3. But obviously that doesn't mean like necessarily that they're always that bad or whatever, but not the greatest seasons by those 3. A Torment, you could, like, I think it's a coin toss between Torment and Gimmick. Like, Torment, he had like a couple series. Oops. How do we get out of here? I don't know what the keyboard shortcut is to go back to Rlcs, so let's go over here. Like Torment, I could go with him or Gimmick. I don't think it's really that far off. Do you think Wonder is the key to success for Rogue? No, I think if AJ just plays the ladder of his mind, like obviously Wonder has to play well, but like if they want to do anything like going towards like top 4 again, it would be AJ in my mind. Worst EU players, we'll talk about that in a bit. As soon as we're done with the NA recap, we'll go over to Europe recap. Same with the Remco retirement tweet. C9 roster change next season. It's definitely possible. They've been together forever. It's possible if they want to do some things, change it up. But who knows, man? It's going to be wild because it depends if they get relegated or not. Same with G2. First Killer's coming onto the scene, so he's going to be a hot commodity. Going to be interesting. And plus all that, and we have 10 teams. So there's even more room for roster moves. So, do I think G2 or C9 will get relegated? I don't think they will, but it depends who they face. Like if Chaos falls down there, I could see Chaos taking them out. If probably Charlotte, if they fall down there, probably could take them out. But yeah. Rizzo retirement if relegated. That wouldn't completely surprise me. It just depends how much he wants to play. And obviously, like, G2 could easily just keep him and play with him still. Like, I think he's solid. It's just if they want to try something new, because I think it's been, like, trying to figure out how to play with Rizzo or, like, how to figure out this offensive scheme with Rizzo and stuff. And then he kind of had a bad season mechanically. I could see it, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Because I think, like, who knows, man? Politics inside teams are always so weird that you just never know who's going to get kicked. If they get kicked, obviously. So who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised. Because he could just do his YouTube stuff and all that. Like, I don't know if he has the drive, if he got kicked from G2, to pull a Kronovi and play on another team and all that when he has all the YouTube stuff and all of that. And then he could stay on G2 and all that. So who knows? Do you think it's wrong for a top 2 RLRs team to make a change after auto-promoted? No, I don't think... See, like, my heart says yes, that sucks. But my brain says no. Like, obviously, you want the best team possible for the Rlcs. The one thing I wish Psyonix did was if you promote or if you, like, say these top 6 teams, all RLCS Season 9 teams, that half of the RLCS Season 9 league play money should go to these rosters. Same with any teams that promote through Rival Series or that make it back. Half of the league play money should go to these rosters. If there's any roster moves that happen, then that new player gets half of the league play money for the next season. Because I don't think it's fair that a new player comes in and reaps all the benefits when he didn't do any of the work to get them there. And obviously, if they make playoffs, make money there, Worlds, perfectly fine. It's just he didn't do anything to get them into league play where you get your guaranteed money. So I would always want that to happen. Just have half of the guaranteed money go to these rosters. Because I think that sucks for a team like in the Rival Series where they're about to make like 10K. Well, I guess like 3K per player. Or, I'm sorry, it's 20K, but I'm saying if you split that in half or whatever, like 10K. So like 3K per player, you make it out of Rival Series and you get kicked and you make none of that money. It's like, that kind of sucks. But yeah, that's what I was doing. And also, yeah, like I think there's some like semantics in chat. There's obviously a rival playoff to get your top 2 teams, but those top 2 that make it out of the rival playoffs make it to RLCS. It's not top 2 from league play. Why do you think GT plays so poorly this season? A lot of it was just like not able to contain that pressure. A lot of it was like a lot of missed touches by them, a lot of possession changes, a lot of offensive opportunities that they squander that turns into possession for the other team, and then they're on defense where they're not very good at it. And then there you go. All right. That's going to do it for the NA recap for the season. Thank you guys for watching. For the YouTube portions, this video will be out, probably today, maybe tomorrow. You don't know what day this is recorded, so it doesn't matter. For Twitch, we'll be hopping over to the Europe side in a second. But thank you guys for watching on YouTube. We'll see you next time. Bye.